Hey guys, Bartel's Bookshelf here. I'm doing this video today to commemorate what will be the final book haul. For a while. For a little while. As I'm sure a lot of people who travel in the same booktube circles as I know, Ollie from CriminOlly, who is a great booktuber. You should check him out. He talks about crime and pulp and all kinds of crazy vintage goodness. He instituted a 100 book challenge for himself where he will not buy any more books until he reads 100 books that he owns. And a lot of other booktubers have joined in with this challenge, and I'm joining in too. I don't know if I'm going to be as rigid as 100 books. I think I'm just going to wait till I fill up a box that I can then sell, and then I'll buy more books. But I do think it is a good idea. It's a good idea to focus more on what we own rather than buying more, which is a rut that a lot of us fall into, I know. So I'm going to talk about, and today turned out to be the perfect opportunity for that because it is me and some friends went to a library book sale where we grabbed a bunch of things, and then we went to the Goodwill and got even more stuff. So I have a pretty good-sized haul here to show you. So I'm going to start with some books that were given. These 3 books were given to me, and the rest are from the library sale, and then I've got the Goodwill books here that I'll show to you guys. So let's start with the books that were given to me. As some of you know, I've been trying to get into westerns more, and my friend Nakia was at another library recently, and they were selling a bunch of western books for cheap. So she asked me if I wanted some, and she was very nice to give them to me. So the first one here is Pat Garrett by Richard O'Connor. I didn't even realize when she showed this in the library, but this is actually a biography of the killer of Billy the Kid and the famous marshal who killed Billy the Kid. I didn't even realize it was nonfiction, but I do love that old-timey vintage look to it. When was this published? 1960. So I'm sure, it's out of date. I'm sure there's a lot of mythologized stuff, but I don't know. It could be interesting. I've never read sort of a mass market Western biography like this, so that seems interesting. We'll see what that's like at some point. I have Louis Lamour here. This is Long Ride Home. I literally know nothing about it, but as I've said, I'm trying to expand my Western reading, and Louis Lamour is the Western author. I read Hondo last month, and I didn't like it all that much, but I am still interested in checking more of his stuff out, and this was like 50 cents, so I told Nakia, I was like, yeah, grab it, see what it's like. So, we'll see. I know nothing about it, but... Oh, okay. This is really? Oh, I didn't even notice. So this is Long Ride Home, Frontier Stories. So it's a book of short stories. Interesting. Oh yeah. Okay. I've never read any of his short stories, so that should be interesting. We'll see what that's like. And then this was another random thing that she found in the Western section. This is The Killing Season by Ralph Compton. I know nothing about this or this author. I've never heard of him before, but I liked the title, and I don't know. The cover art was interesting, so all I know about it is it takes place in the 1870s. And it's about a guy named Nathan Stone, and he had learned to kill on the Vengeance Trail. So I have no idea. We'll see if that's any good or not. It's pretty big for a Western novel. It's 441 pages, which, in my experience in the Western genre, that seems pretty chunky. Most Westerns don't usually go over 300 pages in my experience, but so could be interesting. And then the rest of these are books that I got from the library book sale. But we did start out with this one. This is Booked to Die by John Dunning. This is sort of related because this seems to be kind of sort of a Western-ish murder mystery. I don't know if I don't think it actually is a Western, but it kind of like takes place in that area and it has that kind of vibe to it. It's about a homicide detective named Cliff Janeway, who's an avid collector of rare and first edition books. And after a local book scout is killed in his turf, Janeway would like nothing better than to rearrange the suspect's spine. So it's sort of a murder mystery, revenge kind of thing revolving around a guy who's really into books. So I don't know. It sounded interesting. We'll see. I've never heard of this or the author before, but apparently he's decently well known. I mean, this says here, the mystery that introduced Cliff Janeway. So I assume Cliff Janeway is a fairly well-known character. So we'll see what that's like. And then I got a bunch of Spencer novels by Robert B. Parker. I like a lot of crime fiction, but I've never read any Robert Parker. But I've heard of Spencer. There was the TV show in the 80s. So I just grabbed, they had a random collection of them here. So I have A Savage Place, The Judas Goat, Early Autumn, God Save the Child, and Looking for Rachel Wallace. I have no idea if these go in any kind of order. I know there's obviously a publication order, but I don't know if there's, any kind of chronological order, if any of that's important. So if any of you have read these books, let me know. Is there a certain order I'm supposed to read these in? Anything like that? But I love crime fiction. Heard a lot about Robert Parker. Spencer's a very popular character. These are supposed to be quite sardonic and funny, so looking forward to those. We'll see what those are like. And these were some lucky finds. I found a couple Caroline B. Cooney point horror books, which are pretty awesome. You don't normally find stuff like that in these things, but I have The Terrorist and the Snow. This one, I believe, is a newer point horror. When was this published? Yeah, 1999. So this is very late in the in the sort of point horror timeline. But as you can see there, it says point. So, The Terrorist. When her 11-year-old brother is killed by a package bomb in the London subway, Laura's life is changed forever. She now has only one interest: revenge. So it's sort of a revenge murder mystery kind of thing about terrorism. So I don't know. It seems quite interesting and potentially controversial, so we'll see what that's like. And then this one, The Snow. This is a more traditional point horror, as you can see there. When was this published? I assume the 90s. Let's see. 1990, so yeah, very, very different look, obviously. But apparently this is about a girl who's attacked by winter, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. 90s children's horror. So again, on the Western front, all on the Western front, I have this book, The Sisters Brothers by Patrick DeWitt. This was made into a movie recently with John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix, which I haven't seen. But in my journey looking up sort of like Western novels that people like and stuff, this came highly recommended. I've heard about Patrick DeWitt. I believe he won an award for this, maybe. Oh yeah, this was a Booker Prize finalist, it says on the back here. So, I don't know much about it. I just know it's about two brothers that have the last name Sisters, the Sisters Brothers. So, don't know. We'll see how that is. And I have some Elena Ferrante books here. I have the first two books in the Neapolitan novels. I have My Brilliant Friend, which is the first book, and The Story of a New Name, which is the second book. Again, I don't know a whole lot about these. I just know that they're part of the series of novels. I believe there's 4 of them called the Neapolitan Novels. They all take place in Italy. His sort of historical fiction. Apparently, a lot of them deal with like friendship and stuff like that. I know Elena Ferrante is a pseudonym, and her or his or their identity is unknown at the moment. So there's a little bit of mystery there. But I've heard nothing but good things about these books. All of my bookish friends or bookish people that I've run into love these books, so I figured, why not? They had the first 2 at this library sale, so I grabbed them. Hopefully, I enjoy them. We'll see. I have here The Poser by Jacob Rubin. Isn't that cover awesome? And it's a penguin. And this one just sounded really interesting. Giovanni Bernini was born with a rare gift. He can instantly, irresistibly mimic anyone he meets. And that was all I needed to know. So I love stuff like that about, tricksters and confidence artists and stuff. So could be interesting, and that cover is really intriguing. I have here the Yiddish Policemens Union by Michael Chabon. Michael Chabon, of course, I've also heard a lot about. I haven't read a lot of his stuff. I read a little bit of, what was that? Wonder Boys, which I liked, but I never finished, which I should get back to at some point. But I also have a copy of The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, but I don't have a copy of this, and this was his other major kind of book. I believe this won the Hugo, or was nominated for the Hugo. It won a bunch of awards, just like Cavalier and Clay did, and I didn't own a copy of it, so I figured, why not? Then for the last of the library sale books, I have Wide Sargasso C by Jean Rhys. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, sorry. But this is another very famous literary novel that is about... it takes Jane Eyre as its jumping off point and focuses on the mad woman in the attic from Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, and it sort of explores the story from her perspective, and apparently is considered something of sort of a feminist classic, exploring the role of women in Victorian society and stuff like that through this mad character. So yeah, we'll see what that's like. I should probably read Jane Eyre before I read this, shouldn't I? I know the story of Jane Eyre because I've seen the movies. I saw the movie with Mia Wasikowska and what's his name? Michael Fassbender, and I liked that, so I know the basic story, but I feel like I should probably read the book before I read this. Should I? Let me know. Okay, so those are all the library books. Now let me get the books from Goodwill. Okay, here are all the books that I got from Goodwill. First we have The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. I've read some of Thomas Mann's most famous stories. I've read Death in Venice and a few of his short stories, and I liked them. This is one of his novels, supposed to be a classic. A new translation from the German by John E. Woods. It's just, one of the many classics I've always been meaning to read. I've heard a lot about it. It's a pretty good chunker. It's a little over 700 pages, so who knows when I'll get to it, but that's that. I have Irish Fairy and Folk Tales by W.B. Yeats. Yeats obviously was a very famous Irish poet, so normally, I know I could find a lot of these fairy tales and folk tales anywhere, but the fact that they were written by a poet intrigued me. I'm sure they'll be very beautifully written, if so. So I look forward to that. And this also has illustrations, as you can see there. The Fate of the Children of Lear. So that should be pretty cool. Everybody knows I love this sort of stuff. Fairy tales, folk tales, all that stuff. Now I have some Stephen King short story collections here. I have a pretty good selection of Stephen King novels and short story collections, but I don't own all of them, and not in hardcover, and I don't own these until now. This is The Bazaar of Bad Dreams. This is published in 2015. I haven't read it, but this was his most recent collection of short stories, unless you count If It Bleeds, which is novellas, but I haven't read that yet either. So hopefully that's good. I've heard kind of mixed things about this, but we'll see. And I have Just After Sunset, which was stories that he wrote and published after kind of a long fallow period where he was focusing mostly on novels. And I've heard really, really good things about this collection. People say this was a real return to form for King in terms of short stories, so looking forward to that eventually. And here I have another sort of, I guess you'd call this a modern classic, Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. This won the Man Booker Prize in 2009, along with the sequel in 2012, Bring Up the Bodies, which I don't have. But this is one that I've always been meaning to read because I've heard a ton about it. Just never had the opportunity. But I know this is about Thomas Cromwell and kind of his life with like Henry VIII and stuff like that. Heard a lot of good things. Seems really interesting. This is it's a little beat up. It's got a torn dust jacket and everything, but it was like $3, so why not? Now I have some paperbacks here, genre paperbacks, horror, science fiction type stuff, fantasy. This is And the Devil Will Drag You Under by Jack L. Chalker. He's the author of the Well of Souls series, which I have, but I haven't read. But again, heard a lot of good things. I was just sold based on this cover. And there you go, that says right there, the end of the world was coming, and only a drunken demon could save it, if he sobered up, and if he could acquire, by fair means or foul, 5 magic jewels. That was literally all I needed to know, and I was like, alright, I'm sold. I want to read that. So, I have a Tor horror paperback here, which I was really surprised to find. You don't tend to see these out in the wild much, especially not in a Goodwill, but this is The Waiting Room by T.M. Wright. I literally don't know anything about this. I just saw the Tor horror logo, and I was like, all right, I want that. But it says, when Sam Feary meets his old high school buddy Abner in Manhattan, he knows something is wrong, but he doesn't know how wrong. Abner has stepped over the boundary into the world of unseen spirits, a world that has suddenly become a terrifying reality. It will take Abner's life unless Sam can rescue him, but now it wants Sam's life as well. So it seems like, ghosts, hauntings, and maybe a bit of bromance. I don't know. We'll see. So I don't know much about T.M. Wright. I've seen the name before. But so, yeah. And check out that cover. Isn't that cool? So, yeah. Hopefully that's good. We'll see. Again, something I've never heard of. Never heard of this series. Never heard of this author. This is The Glass Dragon by Irene Radford. This is the first in the Dragon Nimbus series. I was literally, I loved that the title, that cover art, and it's about, dragons have recently become an endangered species, and with their swiftly diminishing numbers, the source of all magic is fading from the land of Coronon. So it's about people trying to figure out, like, who's killing the dragons, how, why, if they can be saved, that kind of thing. I'm always interested in fantasy stories that kind of subvert typical tropes, and don't have just generic, like, dragons are bad guys and they're eating people and stuff. So we'll see how that is. Again, another fantasy author I've never heard of, but this is published through Tor. So, but this is The Jaguar Princess by Claire Bell. Again, fucking awesome cover art. Literally all I know about this is a fantasy story that takes place in, I believe, either Mayan times or Olmec, Aztec. So takes place in Aztec times, and it's about a woman named Mixcoatl. I'm sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing that, but it's about a woman named Mixcoatl, whose people are descended from the ancient Olmec jaguar gods, and she basically has the power to shapeshift into a jaguar. So that was all I needed to know. I love shapeshifters. I love all that stuff, and it takes place in ancient Aztec times, which I don't know a whole lot of books that do that, especially fantasy novels. So that should be interesting. Here's one I've mentioned before. This is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This is a National Book Award finalist. It's like a big, sprawling family saga about Korean people living in Japan during the early 1900s. Seems interesting. Apparently it deals with a lot of Japanese racism towards the Koreans, and how apparently during that time Koreans tended to run pachinko parlors because it was considered like the only work that they could get into and that kind of thing. So don't know, who knows. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's a little bit long, bit of a chunker, but not too bad. So hopefully that's good. I've heard a lot of good things. We'll see. Another sort of modern classic, I guess you'd call this. This is Hopscotch by Julio Cortázar. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm like Vaughn. I can't pronounce anything. But yeah, Hopscotch by Julio Cortázar. I know a little bit about Julio Cortázar. I know he was sort of part of the school of like magic realism and stuff. I've read a few of his short stories and enjoyed them. I've heard a lot about this novel. Never read it. Don't even really know much about it. I know it's about an Argentinian writer who lives in Paris with his mistress, and apparently his mistress disappears, and there's like a big mystery, and I don't know. It sounds very strange, as a lot of his stuff is, but I look forward to this. I'm sure Juan has read this. In fact, I think he mentioned this in a video. So I'm sure he has a lot to say about this to me. And Juan, I'm sorry if I get it wrong, but I believe the original title was Rayuela. Is that how you pronounce it? But yeah, so I hope that's good. We'll see. This one I was really, really happy to find. This is The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster, with illustrations by Jules Pfeiffer. This is the 50th anniversary edition. It's hardcover, and it came in a plastic sleeve like this, so it's already protected. I love this story. I read it a ton as a kid. It's very sort of Alice in Wonderland-esque, lots of wordplay, very surreal and fantastical. And I've always wanted to own a copy of it, and I just so happened to run into this really, really nice hardcover edition. So, of course, I immediately grabbed it. I mean, for $3... Come on, man. You know, if you haven't read The Phantom Tollbooth, as I said, it's very strange, very surreal, very funny, lots of wordplay and stuff like that. It's very imaginative. There's lots of cool illustrations. So it's something of a children's classic. So, yeah, Phantom Tollbooth. And then finally, we have Sophie's Choice by William Styron. Again, this is another sort of a modern classic that I've heard a lot about. I believe this was nominated or won the National Book Award, I think. Made into a movie, a very famous movie with Meryl Streep. Haven't seen it or read the book, but I have a pen pal who recently read this book, and he just sang its praises over and over again to me. He really, really loved it. And it sounds really sort of dark and philosophical, and just lots of sort of things to ponder. Philosophical things to ponder. So I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know it has to deal with the Holocaust, and Sophie is a Polish woman. I know a little bit about the choice she has to make, but I don't know the context. I don't know that much else about it. But it'll be interesting to see. It's another modern classic I've always been meaning to read, and for $3 for this nice hardcover edition, I figured why not. So yeah. All right. That wasn't everything that I got today. I also got some blind books from the library, and so did some of my friends, and I actually recorded a little separate thing of us opening our books on camera so we could see what they were. So here's that, and I'll see you guys later. Hello, I'm here for the last part of the video where I show off the books that I got for the blind date with a book, which was something they were offering at the library, which is a blind date with a book. And this is my friend Nakia. Hello. And my friend Laura, who's off screen. So I guess, do you want to start with yours, and I'll do mine last? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay, so what does yours say? Young adult historical fiction slavery award winner. So I guess we'll find out what this is. No, I'll let you unwrap it because it's yours.
If I know how.
You have experience with unwrapping things, right?
Yes, I do.
I won't question that.
Just the ace dying over here.
Alright. This is really good wrapping.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Alrighty. Hang 1,000 Trees with Ribbons.
By Anne Rinaldi. The story of Phyllis Wheatley. Never heard of that, have you?
Nope, never heard of it.
What does it say? Kidnapped from her home in Senegal and sold as a slave in 1761, a young girl is purchased by the wealthy Wheatley family of Boston. Phyllis Wheatley, as she comes to be known, has an eager mind and knack for learning that leads her on an unusual path for a slave. When the Wheatleys discover Phyllis's talent for writing poetry, they begin to mold her future by having her perform for influential guests. Eventually she's sent to England, where her work is finally published, the first book of poetry by an African-American woman. Despite her great achievement and the fame that follows, Phyllis is troubled about her way of life. All of the trappings of success can do nothing to change the fact that she's still a slave. Huh.
Oh, that's interesting.
That actually does sound interesting.
Yeah.
And there's a warning on the back. This is a historical novel. Read at your own risk. The writer feels it necessary to alert you to the fact that you might enjoy it.
I might enjoy it. Okay.
So, yeah, pretty cool. I'll have to look up. I wonder if Phyllis Wheatley's a real person.
I have no idea.
I'll have to look that up later. What do you think? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, this is interesting. This is not my usual reading, so...
Mm-hmm. But that's what's fun about a blind date with a book, right?
Yeah,
you never know what
exactly.
you're going to get. Do you want to open yours now, Laura? What does yours say? Just says Pride, Murder, Darcy, and Elizabeth. So Jane Austen vibes.
Yeah.
I'll let you open it since it's yours.
See, I've never read Jane Austen, so I wasn't
Neither
sure.
have I. So. Darcy and Elizabeth, I think they're the couple from Pride and Prejudice, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it is. Pride and Prejudice.
I actually haven't read any Jane Austen, so that's one of the many classics I need to improve on. Ooh, double wrapped.
Also nice and neat, and you're just going at it like a novel.
I think that is incredibly neat. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, that does. It is all nice and boxy.
Hey. So what is it?
Death comes to... I can't read cursive.
Is that Pemberley?
Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James. Oh, P.D. James was a British mystery author.
Oh, yeah. Pride and Prejudice.
Huh, interesting. So, a rare meeting of literary genius. P.D. James, long among the most admired mystery writers of our time, draws the characters of Jane Austen's beloved novel Pride and Prejudice into a tale of murder and emotional mayhem. Interesting. So it's like a sequel / murder mystery kind of interpretation of the characters in Pride and Prejudice.
I like that.
Yeah, that seems interesting. I don't know how much sense it'll make if you haven't read the original book.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to have to read the Pride and Prejudice first.
But that's cool. So yeah, are you happy with that?
It's be different. Not mysteries usually not
It's
my thing.
different, but you did end up buying a lot of mysteries.
I did buy a lot of mysteries.
All right, and now to end, we'll do mine. So this is the first one. I got 3. So this is Tales from Long Ago, very scary and not for children. So of course that appealed to me. If it's so not for kids, you have to put it on the cover. I'm curious. So let's open this.
I have my bookshelf next to yours.
These are really nicely wrapped. It's almost a shame to open them.
I know.
See, I'm just going crazy.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. It's book Christmas. It is December.
It is December.
Ah, damn it.
What is it?
It's the Barnes & Noble edition of Grimm's Fairy Tales. I already own this. Oh, well.
I have a copy too. So.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, do you want it?
Sure, if you guys already have it.
But yeah, it's the Barnes & Noble edition, Grimm's Fairy Tales, Introduction and Notes by Elizabeth Dalton. So I don't remember if... I know I have this edition. I don't know if I've read it, but that's still pretty cool. And I think it's the whole thing. So it's all of them. It's not like an abridged version, I think. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So, here you go. That's yours.
Not for children.
I mean, I guess they are pretty fucked up.
Yeah,
the original stories.
Saying that German fairy tales are not for children.
I think in one of those books, like somebody gets their feet cut off.
Yeah.
Or something.
So this next one is Prairie Life, A Long Time Ago, and Beautiful Writing. That was what sold me, because anybody who knows me knows I like pretty words. But we'll see what this actually is. Hopefully it's not something I own already. Oh, interesting. Oh, it's a classic. This is My Antonia by Willa Cather, and it's a really nice hardcover edition. I don't know much about this, but I think this won the Pulitzer. It's like a really old book. It's from, well, not old, but it's from like the 1900s. Yeah, 1918.
Oh, wow.
Reader's Digest edition.
Damn.
Interesting. Well, I've heard a lot about Willa Cather. I know she wrote Oh Pioneers, but I've never read any of her stuff, so that'll be interesting. And then the final one, it just says food, but not a cookbook. So I assume it has something to do with food.
I bet you anything that's Julia and Julia.
Oh, God.
That's what I was thinking, too. It's gotta be Julie and Julia.
Let's find out. If it is, I'm going to be so mad. Oh, no, I don't think it is.
Oh, no, that's pretty. Not too pretty.
Oh, that is really pretty. Oh, it's a nonfiction. Ritz and Escoffier, the Hotelier, the Chef, and the Rise of the Leisure Class by Luke Barr. Huh, interesting. Let me have a look on the inside. In early August 1889, the young Swiss hotelier César Ritz found himself at the Savoy Hotel in London. Ambitious and well-funded, he was determined to create the world's best hotel. Ritz's team included his business partner, Auguste Escoffier, a chef known for his brilliant original dishes, who would soon create the modern kitchen brigade and popularize French cuisine for the ages. Cool. So it's like a mix of like food history and like a history of the Ritz Hotel and stuff. That sounds pretty cool. Huh.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Surprise.
So yeah, I'm happy with what I got. Are you guys happy?
I like mine, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it for this video. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. And if you guys want to say anything,
Bye.
see ya. Bye.